everything on Drudge is written with a dick in his mouth. So.
Hello and welcome to episode number 107 of Unrelenting, March 8th, 2024, where we should scream it all, just like Jacked Up Joey did last night. Gene, did you watch that extravaganza that was the State of the Union?
I planned on it, and then I didn't.
You were better off.
I suspect that's true.
Yeah. He's Gene, I'm Darren. And he was 20 minutes late, and then I was first thinking that this was because they had to jack him up on so many drugs to keep him out there. Because the over-under, which I thought was quite high, the over-under in the betting was 1 hour and 9 minutes for the speech, and
wow,
he went over. So that was amazing in itself, although you have to add in all of the idiotic cheering and the people yelling 4 more years, and then you got the Marjorie Taylor Greens yelling at him. So there's disruptions going. So, I mean, if you actually just took the words Joey said,
awesome.
It would be a little bit different. But at first I thought, this is why he's late, because they had to jack him up on something to get him out there to give the speech. But
definitely my assumption.
The news coverage on Fox, because where do you go if you want to get any kind of real-time information from the mainstream? I mean, I'm not going to MSNBC. I'm not going to CNN. I don't really want to go to News Nation.
Well, I would go to C-SPAN.
They would have the best coverage overall. I don't know if does C-SPAN
There's
give
still
you
a guy, maybe a guy and a half sitting and working there. So
it's like the guy in Office Space that's in the basement. Like, everybody forgot about me.
Yeah, exactly.
We still have a network. It's still a thing. And
it's mostly run on autopilot anyway. So
yeah, that guy could die and nobody would even know.
Adam would know.
Well, according to Fox News, there were protesters of the anti-Israel type that were
heard that
blocking the exit of the White House, and that's why Joey was late, because I guess they didn't just want to run these people down.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing no one's trying to insurrect or anything.
I know. They're blocking the president's exit from the White House.
Yeah. I mean, thank God they're not blocking AOC, or, she'd be dead by now.
I know. It's like, this is okay. This is absolutely fine. This is This is what was predicted.
Wait till we get reports of protesters walking around inside a White House, knocking on everybody's doors. Was because he was late.
Right. Oh, yeah. This is exactly the way the media gets skewed around.
Yeah.
The delivery was very Hitler-esque. I mean, beyond, you didn't have the Nazi uniforms or anything. You still had all sorts of people dressed weirdly, but it was it was like somebody told Joey, well, you have to go out and appear vibrant. And what he took that to meaning is I've got to yell a lot.
Wow.
And it was very weird. And of course, he's yelling at them. And a lot of times the words aren't coming out. And I don't want to make fun of an old guy's speech impediment. I just want to know if he has a mental impediment. And
do you really want to know, or do you already know?
I have my suspicions. And it was interesting because you saw when he was walking in, it took his 20 minutes of just saying hi to people coming in. It's like, if you're already late, maybe you want to kind of speed that up a little, because, everybody at home watching. Yeah. But him and Marjorie Taylor Greene got close to each other.
Ooh.
And when he was there giving the speech, when he said something about the border, she yelled out the say her name thing. And Joey right there had the button, and I don't know if it was one, because it seemed like she was trying to hand him one of these buttons when he walked in, and I don't know if he already had one or if he took it from her. The cameras did not get this clearly, but he had the button, and when she yelled it out, he was all ready and picked it up, and he said, oh, yeah, Lincoln Riley. And it's like, oh, dude, you couldn't even get the name right.
How often are we going to change the say her name thing? Because it used to be Ashley Babbitt.
It was, well, but no, before it was Ashley Babbitt, it was George Floyd, and it was the woman.
I don't remember that.
The woman that was killed as one of the police raids because, there was a no-knock warrant, and they shot at the police. Her boyfriend shot at the police. I believe this is how the story
police shot
went.
her.
Yes.
Well, they were aiming for the dog, and they shot her instead.
Right. So this was another one of the say their name, Ahmed Arbery, down in Georgia, the case of. And this is where you still, the liberal.
That was Trump's fault, if I remember right.
Of course. Yeah. And that was just a black guy out jogging that was killed by white supremacists, obviously.
Right. That was the Mexican white supremacists, if I remember right.
Well, it was very white guys that were that were
a white guy with a Hispanic
shotgun
name.
Well, it was maybe, but he had the shotgun, and they had the video here, which showed enough that the guy that got shot, Ahmed Arbery, rushed the guy and tried to grab the gun, which to me adds a whole nother level of, because the story from the guys there that shot him were like, well, we thought he was robbing from an empty house or a construction house. So they just wanted to hold him, because they wanted the police to come. And then he attacked the guy with the gun and got killed. And of course, this is why you can't do anything in this country anymore, because if something goes bad, you're going to be prosecuted for it if you're white.
Yeah.
If it goes the other way around, well, then maybe not so much. But he got the name wrong, but it was all so very oddly planned. This was a one of those moments where you're like, are there really different parties? Is this all just a big joke? Is this all a big a production? Because he didn't have to stop. And then he made some kind of comment. He went off script for a minute and said something about people being killed by illegals. And it's like, well, you do realize this is a greater problem when you let in more people that aren't supposed to be here. And I don't know, you're not vetting the people coming over the border. And the biggest lie was still, well, I can't do anything about the border. And it's like, this is where.
That's such bullshit.
Right, because he started this with a bunch of presidential decrees. Man, people call me during a show. I should really turn off the ringers on this. But you got the presidential decree that is what deals with the border. It's one of the few things we talked about that I think in the last episode, the 1952 Act that says when it comes to migration, the president has the ability to decide with the stroke of a pen whether he's going to stop certain people from coming in, stop all people from coming in, and for whatever length of time that he wants to. This is right in the purview of the president. He does not need Congress. He does not need anybody else to agree. He gets to do it, or she. Then you just get to do it. You make your presidential decree, you put it out there, it's all said and done. So the fact that any of the mainstream media is still going along with, well, just Republicans aren't playing along. It's like, playing along with what? It is. It's absolute bullshit, but people buy it because people believe what they want to believe. They don't know the facts of a situation. We see that all across the board on a bunch of different things. People make up their mind because they want to make up their mind. Facts don't really matter anymore.
Oh, facts totally don't matter. But one thing I will say is I was happy to see the tweet yesterday from my favorite rep in the House, Anna Polina Luna, the hottest rep in Congress, because that's what's important.
Right, that's the hot. So it's the hottest representative in the House. I mean, Katie Britt wasn't bad for a senator.
Anna Polina Luna is by far the hottest. She's a cover model. Anyway. She texted out, I'm not going to be at the thingamajiggy, the Biden speech, because it's a waste of time and he's been perverting democracy. So I'm out, which is great. I'm kind of that was one of the things that led me to go, okay, well, I don't really have to watch that either then.
Well, because you knew going in.
Yeah, it's all going to be bullshit no matter what.
You knew what it was going to be. There are, allegedly experts former presidential speechwriters. I don't know if it was on both sides of the aisle or just one, because that makes a difference. But there were a lot that seemed somewhat offended that it was completely a campaign speech. They're like, usually in a State of the Union, there are portions at least where you try to unite, and that didn't really happen. And he mentioned my predecessor. I'm going Biden. He mentioned his predecessor. Yeah, I need more coffee. Multiple times.
You need tea.
Tea would be better. That would be.
Tea's way better.
I got to move to the. Should it be green tea, black tea? Is it racist tea if it's not black tea? Now?
I kind of just drink regular tea, but
what is a regular tea? What are you putting in there?
I mean, I guess it's black. I don't know. It's just it's not non-specific tea.
Very yeah. So if it doesn't say green tea, if it doesn't say oolong, if it doesn't say all those
jasmine
things,
yeah.
But he mentioned his predecessor multiple times, and it's like, this is 3 years in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still mentioning the last guy 3 years in, I mean, I understand. We know
it's kind of sad, but you know, their whole storyline is that Trump inherited the best economy and the most successfully running country ever from Obama. And then he proceeded to ruin it for 4 years.
Right.
And now Joe's been trying to clean it back up for the last 3. That's their storyline.
It's amazing until you look at the facts.
Facts don't matter. It's the feelings that do, obviously.
Right. So if you're watching MSNBC, you know exactly what Joey means.
Your feelings don't care about the facts, I think is what Ben Shapiro used to say.
He's correct. He is correct about that. So that's what you got, was a campaign speech. Nothing new was learned. It was more interesting just to see the reactions on the usual sites. Now, Drudge, as we've talked about, has gone completely anti-Trump. The headlines on Drudge were all like, oh, Joe, forceful, great speech. Oh, Joe's back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the more conservative versions of what the Drudge Report does, and it's Joe lied 50 times and all of this. There's absolutely...
Well, Drudge kind of became insignificant about a decade ago. I don't know why people are still looking at his website.
It's an interesting place to see what the hot topics are, for lack of a better word. It is the trending news, because it's like, you got to go somewhere. You're not going to go to every paper and go, well, let me read.
Just don't want to have a dick in my mouth. That's all.
Now there's the ISO.
Why would I go to Drudge?
Why would you go anywhere? I mean, the internet overall is a cesspool.
That everything on Drudge is written with a dick in his mouth, so don't need to go there.
Well, then you see what the other side is doing, and then you can kind of understand.
Well, you could see what the other side is doing on Twitter. You don't need to go to Drudge.
You can go, well, Twitter is...
X.
Oh, right. Wait, does Elon get mad if you call it Twitter still? He's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
He picks up the phone. He's like, Gene, I thought we talked about this. We were going to call it X now.
I was temporarily banned for using the wrong name.
That'll happen. We unbanned you finally, though, in the troll room, trollroom.io.
Oh, I thought the troll room shut down.
No, it's getting there.
It's getting there.
We had O'Reilly, who was Xing during the thing, which I didn't even look at until right now. He started out, Biden looks frail. Well, he always looks frail. That's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. He attacks Trump over NATO. He tells Putin that we will not bow down, then tries to tie January 6th into Ukraine, threat to democracy, blames Trump. So that was actually a pretty good summation of how he came out. He then says Catholic Joe segues into reproductive freedom. 10 o'clock mass tomorrow, question mark. I don't think Joey's going to mass. Oh, wait, the one interesting thing was,
isn't he a good Catholic? Isn't this part of his whole shtick?
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. Well, then he attacked the Supreme Court justices over the whole Roe versus Wade decision, and they did not look pleased. Yeah. Even his buddies, the liberals, which is good. People, because
they know that this is a losing issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is what the Democrats are running on right now, is abortion. It is the one thing that they have that is an honest issue and an honest difference between the Republicans and the Democrats right now.
It's whether they want to keep the black people down or not. That's what it comes down to. And Democrats have always worn hoods.
They always wanted a lot of black abortions. And when you go and look at the history of Planned Parenthood,
79% of abortions in this country are black.
You wonder why people are fighting for it then.
And the rest are, young white women. But the vast majority, like Asians, don't have abortions.
I've never looked at the demographics.
Generally don't have abortions.
Well, because very religious.
It's mainly black women and the rest white women.
Yes. And this is actually a difference. The Republicans overall don't like to go around and yell, hey, let's kill more babies. That's
not generally, no.
Not so. That is one thing. The other things that they're trying to, Joey in his speech and the Democrats overall are trying to run on are there's no problem at the border. The economy is good. You're hallucinating when you think you're not doing as well as you were 3 years ago. That is the other things besides abortion that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why if the Republicans, it can't be that hard to come up with a comprehensive plan on abortion
mm-hmm.
where it's a states' rights issue anyway. So if you're the Republicans, why don't you stand up and just say, well, we're not going to try to, we don't believe in it. We don't agree with it as a moral thing, but, we're not going to stop you from doing it. Right there maybe is what you need to do, because that would take away, although, again, people believe what they want to believe. You could take away the fear that the Democrats are peddling, like, oh, no, they're going to take away all women's rights. They're going to all be dying. They're going to have to go to different countries to get an abortion, or they're going to die because it's going to be done in a back alley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
None of which appears to be true.
No. I think the art of coat hanger abortions is pretty much lost art.
Well, now you could just pop a pill, man.
Right. But I mean, it's like that whole story of backroom risky abortions where the women die half the time. It's just not the case, because they don't exist. There aren't any of those, for the exact reason you just said. Is no one needs to have an abortion performed by someone who's not a doctor, because all they need to do is get a pill from Mexico or California, which is the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, well, they had the woman there that had to leave Texas to get the abortion that she wanted.
Yeah.
And the story that Joey told was that, her life was in danger. And it's like, well, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They said the child had some kind of condition.
Mm-hmm.
But
then that's allowed anyway, because you can abort, partial humans.
Maybe not in Texas.
Yeah,
right?
In Texas.
In
it's not No, it totally. In Texas law has exceptions for medical conditions.
Well, in this case, obviously not. If she had to leave Texas, nobody seems to be debating
or did she
that.
Choose to leave Texas?
Well, that is possible. But if that is the case where the story being told is that she couldn't get the abortion in Texas, and I have not seen anybody argue that fact in the media. That doesn't mean anything that it's right or wrong, or that somebody just didn't go, I don't know. Well, she said she had to leave. I don't know. So I don't know. But it's half the population right off the bat, and I know this is being real sexist, but guys can't get pregnant. So the amount of people in the country, the percentage of people in the country that are female of childbearing age, this should not be the massive issue that it is.
Yep.
I just don't know how many people, they're like, yeah, I got 4 abortions last year. I'm pretty damn happy about that. Yep. Not sure. But that's one of their big things, and it's one of their big things because, again, it is one of the few areas where it's not a lie difference, where, they're like, well, the economy's good. The Republicans are lying to you. But, with that, too, O'Reilly had on here 25 minutes into the speech, nothing new. He's like, spoke too soon. The president now says He will give Americans $4,800 a year if they buy a home. Vote buying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand when he said it because, again, Joey, not always easy to understand. But I'm like, is this everybody who currently has a mortgage, or this is just for new home buyers?
Yeah.
Because then I should just sell the house to myself.
Home buyers who have college loans.
Right, since we're going to take those loans away anyway. Because I'm like, otherwise I can sell my house to myself.
The other thing, speaking of homes, I don't know if you saw, is there's a bill in California that is made for illegal immigrants. Sorry, I keep using that term.
Criminal aliens?
Made for illegal aliens that provides a guaranteed mortgage loan to illegal aliens with a deferment of all payments for 20 years. So it's a balloon mortgage. So it's a balloon mortgage program specifically for illegal aliens that does a deferment of all payments for the balloon for 20 years. And the interest rate for the first 20 years is 0.
Wait a minute.
It's a hell of a deal to get more voters, isn't it?
So what you're saying is 20
They're literally
years,
buying votes.
20 years of free housing, and then nobody's ever going to pay it, and all of those loans are going to default in 20 years.
Correct. When all of the current politicians are out of office, yes.
Yeah, or dead.
Yeah.
It's a great system. Buying votes 101.
Yeah, and it ensures California that not only do they get more seats in the House because,
true.
Look at our population.
True,
but
the
they
exodus
actually,
is no good.
Yeah, they get more votes for everything then because they're actually importing, because what do you need to go vote? You need an address. Well, let's make it their own house then. Because nobody checks whether you're a citizen when you go vote. All they check for is, do you live here?
Right. Are you on the rolls?
Yeah. And if you're not on the rolls, what do you need? You need to have either bank statement or a utility bill that shows your house that's within the district. And you bring that with you and you're registered to vote right there.
And even worse than when you go vote, you have to show nothing.
Yeah.
I know some states are different, but in Illinois, my wife works at Village Hall, and they're doing the early voting there. And legally, they are not allowed to ask for a driver's license to pull up the person's ballot. Yes.
That is literally insane.
They're like, the people can offer them, because you ask them, for their name, if they want to make it easy on them and just be like, here's my license, you can, but they're legally not allowed to ask.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to lead to any voter fraud whatsoever.
No. It is absolutely insane.
Joey,
and then, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joey was also all in on that corporations aren't paying their fair share. I mean, this is an insane looking at of the economic situation in a way that only an idiot would believe. So I guess Democrat voters.
Yeah. Because there's nothing better than raising taxes on corporations at a point where your inflation is already in double digits.
Well, he was more worried, Joey was, that they're putting less Snickers in the bar and less chips in a bag. He mentioned these things. And it was these evil corporations that are screwing the American people. And it's like, why do you think the cost of all this stuff is going up, Joey? They're putting less in a bag because they want to sell. I mean, if you want to sell a bag of chips for $3, well, you have to make that bag smaller or you have to raise the price. Those are your only two choices.
I bought a container of a dozen chocolate chip cookies the other day, and it only had 6 cookies.
That's totally not right.
Yeah, I mean, and no lie.
Hey, Joe,
it's true. it's like I was like, hold up, how did this? What happened? This was a dozen cookies, and there's 6 cookies in there.
Like, well, but it's a dozen right there, sir. 6. It's a dozen, sir. Don't you understand? 6.
We're
going to rename what a dozen is.
that's the way the liberals operate. They work off of just renaming things.
Well, see, what I think would be even better, I mean, it would be harder to do if they're the crunchy cookies, but if they're those delicious, soft chocolate chip cookies, cut them in half in the package and still call it a dozen.
Yeah, exactly. A dozen moon-shaped cookies.
very
Moon-shaped
special.
Cookies. That's exciting. Yes.
Very special. I mean, I noticed that with, I've gotten into hummus. So
hummus is good.
The best thing you need with hummus are like pita chips, and the
so many calories. Dude.
I know. I'm trying to cut down on them. And you know how it's easy.
There are some kind of protein chips I've seen. I haven't tried them, but I've seen them in the store. Like they're made of stuff that's mostly protein.
That would be better. But I tell you, the other thing that will make me cut down on this was the family size bag of the salted pita chips. $8.99.
Wow.
Like fucking $9 for a bag of chips?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. Because that stuff used to be just thrown out.
Uh-huh.
Well, like leftover pita pieces.
This would just be stuff that's like a few bucks. It's your chips. You want a bag of chips, $2, $3.
Do you like baba ganoush?
Yeah. Yeah. Little.
I think that's better than hummus.
I like the baba ganoush. I like that's the steak shawarma this guy makes in the place that we've got right down the street.
You get me hungry. I might have to order some food.
Oh, I mean, it's just the most fresh vegetables, and it's like, okay. The other day for the first time, because I was normally just doing the first 3 things on the list, like the first time we ordered, because we were like, hey, I have never had this stuff. And the normal ingredients, the first 3 were onion, pickle, and tomato. So that's what we were going with the steak shawarma or the steak shawarma wrap or the bowl. The other day, instead of tomato, I took banana peppers, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's so good. Get a little extra kick to it. And then I put the spicy hummus in there as well. And that's the spicy hummus is a gift from God. Like, that's why I don't want to know your politics, dude, because I might hate it. But dude, just keep making the food, because this is so good. People shouldn't even talk politics.
I mean, why don't you not want to know his politics?
Because I'll be like, oh, wow, you're a murderous son of a bitch. But that's okay, because you make really good food.
Why do you assume that's very racist of you?
I know.
Murderous son of a bitch.
That's why I don't want to know.
Jesus Christ.
The less I know, the better. I just want the yummy shawarma and the spicy hummus. It is very much, and the interesting thing is, they're taking a lot of business away, at least ours, from Mexican, because when it really comes down to it, especially when you get it in the wrap, when you get the steak shawarma wrap, like, dude, it really is very akin to a burrito.
Yeah.
But better, I think. I don't know why. I mean, I still love Mexican food, but
I don't.
This has kind of moved me away.
Middle Eastern food is way better than Mexican food, man.
I agree. I mean, it was something where we would normally go.
So
and get
how
a
much
burrito.
are these wraps at your dude's place?
Oh, let me double check here. I know the bowls were $15, but the bowls were almost enough food for 2 people. So it's one of them things. The wraps, I believe, were a little bit less, maybe about $10, but I'll double check.
Yeah. So a chicken shawarma wrap here is $16.
Whoa.
A beef one is $18.
So you should move here. It's way better.
Chicago is known for being a cheap town to live in. So
in the suburbs, especially. They have a steak shawarma wrap is $10.50.
Jesus.
Yeah, chicken shawarma $10. If you want fries and a drink, that's $16 for the steak. I don't know why anybody would want fries with it, though.
Yeah, fries is a traditional Middle Eastern food.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's
very, very common. Almost every halal place that doesn't have fancy food, that just has regular food, they always serve fries.
We got a mix. The one time the wife went to go pick up the food, and the kid accidentally gave us somebody else's mixed grill meal, which was a $25 meal. And they're like, well, you could just keep it. But it was one skewer of the tenderloin, one of the chicken, and one of the kofta. I think kofta, where that's what like beef and lamb. I think together, it's like a thing. Oh, all so delicious, man. It's like I was hooked. Like this was the best thing you could have possibly given somebody new to your type of cuisine, because this is kind of like a sampler plate of what they had going on, and it's like so far it's like nothing.
Sampler plate or like Gene's lunch.
Like nothing has been bad. There is it is all just such a delight.
I love halal food, man. I probably eat it at least like 2-3 times a week.
And it's relative. I mean, either that or we're lying to ourselves, but it seems like it's relatively healthy compared to a burger and fries.
Well,
although,
yes. Compared to a burger, fries, absolutely. Compared to salad, not so much.
Right. Well, yeah, this is true. They also make kofta burgers. This is the most the yalla burger that they make is that combination of beef and lamb as well. And the wife tried that the one day and was like, "Oh, that's way better than a normal burger."
Yeah. Well, lamb adds some flavor for sure.
Then you go, bah.
Not necessarily a flavor everybody likes.
True. We went out to a Greek restaurant the other night, and that was some delicious food as well.
Yeah, Greek food's pretty good.
Little saganaki, performed at the table. I was going to say prepared, but it's kind of both. The woman we were having dinner with he was behind her. The waiter didn't realize until he lit that thing on fire, and all of a sudden it's like whoa! It's a table side service, but it was so good. But a lot of people don't like it because they're afraid, like, well, I don't know. What is that? What is Greek food? What is Middle Eastern food? It's like, well, just look at the ingredients. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
Are you ordering lunch right now? I can kind of hear that going on.
Yeah. You're hearing the lack of attention to what you're saying there.
Yeah. You're like, I need a little bit of shawarma,
yeah, sounds good.
maybe. Shawarma. Yeah. Right. This is absolutely right.
So the place, I found a new halal place last week, and it was pretty good. So I was looking at, but they stopped their sale. So I'm not going to order because it's more expensive now.
They were getting you in at a lower price.
They had a 2-for-1 deal. So you can get 2 of those $16 chicken thingies there.
Shawarma wraps.
Yeah. One of those exactly for the price, which makes it a good deal because then they're like $8 a piece. But at full price, at $16 a piece, I'm like, not so much.
Well, I can get you a steak shawarma wrap here for $10.50. I'll just FedEx it right down to you.
Yeah, you could probably FedEx it for the difference. That'd be about the same price, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's
BOGO.
true.
You got to get the BOGO when you can get in. Now you're like, and this has happened.
BOGOs are great.
Well,
and I don't know. You don't really shop with Uber much, but
never.
I looked at it a couple of times. A lot of the deals that I get on Uber, they're not restaurant deals. They're Uber deals.
Meaning, so they're giving you offers to order through them.
Yeah. So I think the way it works is there's got to be some kind of something that obviously they're not going to lose money, right? So maybe they did a deal where they said, look, here, restaurant, if you want us to promote you, just pay us like a flat $500 and then you'll be promoted on our site or something. And then they take that money and turn it into a 2-for-1 deal for orders to increase the orders to the place. But I notice this happens a lot because I'll put an order in that has a BOGO thing, and then the receipt from the restaurant that's stapled to the food just has all normal pricing.
Interesting. You might be in the frequent eater club though. You might be in that.
Oh, I know. I pay for that.
It's extra. That's how you get the best deals. But
it's like $120 a year.
There was
you get free delivery that way.
Right. And when I
get BOGOs, free delivery, and the only thing I pay for is like a tip.
When restaurant.com was really a thing. I think they're still in business, but they're almost gone. This was pre-Groupon days where they would do things like you could get a $10 coupon for like $2, something stupid like that. And that's what we did with the one Mexican place here for years. I mean, it was probably a year or two they ran that and then stopped. And you know where we stopped going immediately? Because it's like, well, if it's another $8 every, meal, that brought it, like is with your BOGO, all of a sudden you're like, well, this now isn't a good deal.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful running those kind of things, because then it's like, well, I know you're willing to give them to me for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like it's a big price jump. And I've got to try the
BOGO is a big price jump. It's basically you're doubling the price, or you're since you're getting half off, you get used to that.
Yes.
Yeah, but see, a lot of times that's the beauty of BOGO is, depending on what you order, obviously, but a lot of times you can order something that creates a meal for today and tomorrow.
Right. You have some leftovers. And see, Brooklyn's like, Baba Go who? It's Baba Ganoush, baby. You've never had Baba Ganoush.
Yeah. It's made of eggplant.
Yeah, it's like
whereas
kind of
the
like
main ingredient in hummus is chickpeas.
Yes. And Omega Project suggests a cauliflower-based low-carb chip for hummus. I'll have to try that, because that would be nice. I get my hummus, and then I don't have to get the massive carb load of a pita chip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're just here to give you dietary
food
advice.
Talk. Yeah. You on Food Talk.
Food Talk every week on Friday. Gene orders lunch for
Friday
2 hours.
Food Talk. Yeah, this is the longest lunch order ever.
That is a good show title name, Friday Food Talk.
That is a good show title. I agree with that.
I mean, we should probably just change the name from Unrelenting to Friday Food Talk.
Friday Food Talk would probably get a lot more random people listening in on it too.
No, Beret wants to know.
Who doesn't want to hear about food, man?
True. Everybody eats. Otherwise, you're dead.
It's the most published category of videos after cats.
See, and I don't get that, because if I'm sitting at home and I'm poor and I'm eating ramen, I don't want to see somebody eating filet mignon.
Oh, you totally do, because that's the only way you get to experience it is through somebody else.
No Beret wants to know if the web porn chicks offer BOGOs. I mean, I bet you on OnlyFans. Web porn
chicks. I think that's the standard model, isn't it? For those? I don't know.
Yeah, bring a friend.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
Exactly.
Buy one, get one, whatever you think.
Exactly.
And then can you bring
Should I get the garlic naan, or should I skip the garlic naan?
Oh, I mean, if you're there, you may as well get it.
I mean, I'm there. They have a 2-for-1 on tikka masala.
Digi Guru, this is the same joke from Planet Rage. He's like, tell Gene my story. Years ago, I dated a girl. We went to a Japanese restaurant, and they had a flaming appetizer thing that got confused with Saganaki. She screamed, "That's just like Nagasaki." And the Japanese guy was like, "I kill you now."
Yeah, what's the joke part?
I don't know. Ask Digi Guru. I believe that actually happened. I mean, I don't think it's a joke that it's not based on reality. But, remember Nagasaki. Joey doesn't.
Yeah.
Is it garlic flavored naan? Yes, that would be what.
Yeah, garlic naan is naan with garlic bits in it.
Ooh.
And cilantro.
Well, and see, here's the thing. Garlic and cilantro, totally healthy.
Yeah, it's just naan part that isn't. Yeah.
Right. Well, you avoid that. You're like, this was me back in the day when I was like, I'll get healthy. I'll just have a salad for lunch. And then I would throw like
Mexican salad.
Well, right.
Steak. And
it didn't matter. Well, whether it was steak or chicken, where you got into it then was cheese, croutons, blue cheese or some kind of dressing that you're basically just pouring on 1,000 calories per.
Right.
It's like, that seems like you want to say it's healthy.
I got to say the automatic tip recommendation it's a little high. You know what I mean?
No, what'd you say? The recommended tip?
Yeah, they like the minimum recommended tip.
Oh, on your order here
is like 15%.
Damn, just for delivery?
For delivery.
That's bizarre. I mean,
it used to, the whole thing with Uber there when they were first rolling out, their whole thing was no tips. Like, you don't need to tip at all.
We want to provide you with a great service. We'll make our money from the restaurants.
Well, whatever it is, the point was that there was no tips on Uber versus other services that delivery expected a tip. So it was natural to sign up for Uber because, who wants to tip? And, good. Somebody accepted my order.
Well, that may be it. Who wants to tip? I thought it was intriguing. I mean, the Greek place we went was fairly nice. I mean, so it wasn't fast foods. It was a sit down, fairly nice place. Nobody had drinks. There were 4 of us, and we had 2 appetizers. Everybody had an entree, and we had 3 desserts between the table, and we meandered for a while. It wasn't an in and out. We were in there for maybe 2.5 hours, and it wasn't packed though because it was a Wednesday night, so we weren't like holding up a table. But I knew we were there for a fairly long time, and I tipped the dude 25%. Because I figured 20% is normal. 25% was, okay, we know we took up a little extra
that's
time.
Crazy excessive, but okay.
Well, I mean, 5 extra percent for some extra time. I don't know.
Well, normal is not 20, first of all, but okay.
See, but it is. I think normal is 20 now, isn't it? What is normal now?
10.
No, for sit down.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. No, because I've been, unlike you, I watch a lot of Zoomer content, and the Zoomers are starting to realize that tipping is optional.
Well, this is the problem. I remember seeing a video early on. I mean, this was probably like 7-8 years ago. Like, well, I don't have that kind of money. I'm not tipping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell do you mean?
It's, it's funny because the ones that work at places where you would think you wouldn't tip, like say a Baskin Robbins ice cream place or something where Joey might show up randomly.
Right, where they have a cup
like
there.
Those places now spin around the iPad and default to a 20% tip. For what exactly? You're literally pushing a thing to squeeze out ice cream onto a cone, and you want to get 20% of the $12 that the ice cream costs?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes. But
and then
it is,
but at the same time, like all the rest of the, but all the rest of the Zoomers, the ones that don't work in the food industry, their general attitude is tips are bullshit.
Right. Except for their friends that work in the food industry should kick their ass at some point. They
expect big tip. Well, it's going to come to a head at some point because as more and more people of that age just don't tip, plus the black people that never tip, and then you end up with and that's not racist, that's just demographics, statistics. Then you end up with basically people no longer be willing to work for sub minimum wage in the food industry.
Well, that's why we're going to a different plan.
I always thought that was bullshit. I mean, like, minimum wage in general is bullshit, but if you have a minimum wage, carving out an exception for waiters is total bullshit.
Well, they get to choose, if they want to be a part of that. Because, I mean, I've thought about this.
Yeah, every time. It shouldn't be up to them. This is not a choice they should be given.
Well, it is, because it depends on the restaurant as well. Because every time you walk into a Fuga de Chao and you see a table of 4 people that are ordering bottles of wine, what 15-20% of that bill is going to be. Those guys not worrying one bit about what the minimum wage is. They're like, I don't need a penny for a salary. I'm just going to work on tips. So it's very dependent upon the restaurant.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way. The restaurant should get the tips and then just pay a regular salary.
Wow. I mean, I understand the concept, but I would also then make the case that perhaps the service would go down because people are like, well, I'm getting paid the same amount, whether I'm a good wait person or a bad one.
The service quality would not go down because
people would be whipped in the back
when
room.
you have a job that pays a dependable, sustained wage. It's not going up and down and fluctuating all the time. When you just get paid for basically putting in your time, you don't want to lose that job. Unlike a fly-by-night job where you may get paid a lot one night and you get paid hardly anything the next day.
Hey, you mean podcasting? We don't have one donation today because our show sucks.
No, not necessarily. It could be because no one listens to it.
Well, that could be also true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have Pfeiffer, we have Tom Tomsky, we have Cotton Gin, we have C. Brooklyn, we have Blitz, all listening live right now.
Yeah.
Omega Project.
Well, I mean, you say
DG
listening, but we don't know if they're listening. Hey, I want to know what Tom does, because Tom seems to like retweet my tweets and react and stuff 24 hours a day.
Well, he's over
so I'm very
Netherlands.
curious. What is Tom's occupation, or is Tom retired?
He's over in the Netherlands, so he's on a different.
Yeah,
time schedule.
I know that, but I mean, that's still like he's quicker to the draw than even CSB used to back when I was on the other socials.
That is high praise, Tom Tomsky. You are quicker than CSB.
Yeah.
And he can share with us if he'd like.
We'll just sit and wait here for a little while until Tom answers.
According to the USA Today, the average tip percentage from Generation Z is 17.88, Millennials 18.18, Generation X 17.53, Baby Boomer 17.92, and the silent generation, which is what, like really, really old?
Yeah.
15.16. So everybody else is pretty close. They're between 17.53 and 18.18.
Yeah, I'm not buying those stats.
I don't know where they get it.
Yeah, that's made up bullshit. I mean, ask John Dvorak how articles like that are written.
Everything in the media is just, we just, I don't know.
It's just made up. So no one's going to go to actually do a study on restaurant tips. Plus, who's going to tell the truth about tips since they don't declare them in their taxes?
According to Cornell, I'm assuming university, not somebody named Cornell.
No, some dude named Cornell. Lives on the street corner.
According to
he's there on Tuesdays.
Cornell, blacks and Asians tip on average less than whites do. So you are not incorrect, Gene. We were trying to fact check you right on here live.
What's this real-time fact checking?
Fact checking Gene on Food Talk Friday. That's what we do.
Food Talk Friday. Yes, Food Talk Friday is a good show. I like it.
Yeah, Cotton Gin wants to know, how do you even do that study? Well, they call people and they're like, hey, do you go out to restaurants? And then people lie.
Are you a good tipper or a bad tipper?
Right, because how many people are going to be like, fuck them, I don't tip at all.
I don't tip at all. Fuck them.
Well, I like the videos then where the server then follows the people into the parking lot like, excuse me, you forgot to tip? You didn't leave a tip?
I literally had that happen years ago. I remember I went to a steakhouse in Minnesota with my then wife. And it's a really nice steakhouse. We used to go there quite a bit. And then walk out of the restaurant after the meal, had a nice filet. And as I'm walking 3 or 4 rows of cars to get to my car, I hear this, excuse me. Says somebody running after us from the restaurant. I'm like, oh, what did I forget? Did I leave something there?
Yes.
As the manager, and says, sir, did you, was your meal bad? I said, no, it was very good. It was very tasty. Oh, well, was there a reason that you didn't leave a tip?
Yes, I'm dumb and forgot.
Yes, that was literally it. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I put that in there, and it looked, sure enough, there was a no tip written on the thing. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for reminding me. So I put one in there. But it was unintentional. Like I was fully happy to tip because the meal's great, service great. You know, everything was very good. But apparently I had given them my credit card, right? They brought the thing back. I took my credit card and put it away and left. Now, most restaurants, when you do that, will run a standard 15 or 20% tip, even though you didn't fill anything in, because they assume you meant to fill something in. And then, you know, if you dispute it, you dispute it, but they assume if you don't write anything at all on the thing, on the bill, that's what you meant to do. This place did not do that. They ran after me into the parking lot just to check.
Well, it was interesting because I understand that if there are people that will do that. Like I had a problem and I'm just going to leave no tip. And if you're the restaurant manager, you're like, well,
but, okay. So in instances where I intend to leave no tip, I will put a 0 in the tip.
You're also the reason why
I want them to know that I'm not leaving a tip.
And you might leave a note as to why.
No, I don't bother doing that. But I will put a 0 in so it's very obvious. Or if I want to be a dick about it, I'll just do the round up to the next round number and leave them a sub-dollar tip.
Right. That's another way to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
service sucked, buddy.
Yeah, you got to get better. Do your job better. But you're the reason why they started doing this. Click here for 15%. Click here for 20%.
Oh, I always click 0.
And
anytime somebody hands me an iPad with a tip thing, it's always going to be 0. Because don't ever do that.
Tom Tomsky gave you an answer. He says, Gene, I'm housebound, genetic polyneuropathy and nerve damage. Always worked full time until the damage came. So he's there, ready to boost anything.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Polyneuropathy sucks, man.
But he's there to boost your X's, though. So, I mean, that's great for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's good luck for me. It's bad for you. Good for me, I guess.
What a heartless
Yeah, well, sorry to hear that,
is.
Tom, but sounds like you're passing the time by being on X.
By reading Gene's horrible tweets or X's.
Oh, and I probably tweet like once an hour, 24 hours a day.
Well, you tweet in your sleep. And now that I know this has probably been around for a long, long time, but now that I've realized that you can schedule the tweets.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, oh.
My secret's out of the bag.
This makes a lot more, because I'm always, every time right before a podcast is starting, I'm like, I want to tweet that I'm going live. Well, now I could just do this for the whole month at one time.
Yep.
And it automatically like, oh, here we go. And you just put the same crap in there anyway. So that would make sense. But I guess I would say that these tipping numbers, this is why I guess, and the guy was a very good waiter. And even my mom, who was with us when we were ordering all this stuff. And I mean, it's not a completely simple order, table of 4. He was one of these dudes, and he was maybe, around our age or so. But he was not writing anything down.
Yeah, it's just, I'll remember.
Yes, and he did, which was a good part of it. But after we left the tip, he did come back and then thank us again for the tip, because I guess 25% maybe is way, 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 way more generous than
it's
the
a
world.
very generous tip. Yeah.
It's like, damn.
I will do that occasionally if it, it's a really nice restaurant and the service quality is really good.
Yes. And I would, again,
and if the roundup amount is to the 100 instead of to the $1.
You're right. This is also a little, which is exactly what this ended up being, because it was just rounding it up to $200 for 4 people to have dinner, which is really, when you think about it, even with that, $50 a person for a nice
I just
dinner.
ordered lunch. It was $38.
That's insane. And this seemed high, but it's like, it's not something we do all the time. It's like, this would not be a nightly, we're going out for dinner place.
I had my last grocery order. I had 2 bags, and then a few things of iced tea.
Like 18 of the iced teas.
Jugs.
Right. Oh, you like big jugs. Tea.
Yeah. And it was $105 for 2 bags of groceries and like 6 jugs of iced tea.
Ned really wants to know how your lunch was $38. He's having 5 different entrees.
I got tikka masala. Ooh. And I got samosa, and I got a garlic naan. And that was $32 total. And then there was a $6 delivery fee. Well, they call it a service fee. They show a 0 delivery fee, but a $6 service fee, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, what kind of service are you providing after all? I don't know.
Yeah, it's really like, who cares what the titles are? The point is, it's the dollar amount is what matters, because ultimately, whatever they pay to the restaurant, I have no idea. I don't know if they get half of the profits or how they break it down, because obviously they're not surviving on the $6 service fee.
No, from what I know,
the driver's going to get more than that. Plus a $3 tip.
It's like 30%. It's around that 30% that they take from the restaurants.
My standard tip amount for food orders, which is basically somebody driving with a little bag of food to my house, is $3. I feel that that's extremely appropriate. I used to tip $2 to $3 for pizza delivery like years ago, back before,
Well, yeah, back in the good old days, $2 was
advent
fine.
of all food delivery, when the only type of food you could get delivered was either Chinese or pizza. Everybody else did not have food delivery.
Well,
back
yeah, because
in the day.
you didn't have Uber and
Yeah. So,
all of
but
these
the people
crazy
that
things.
usually did was all the pizza places and the Chinese places.
And
Somehow
now-
they always figured out delivery was a good thing.
now you can get everything, so that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I think a $3 tip is fair for that.
And I never understood.
And they're literally driving like 3 miles.
Well, that's
It's not like they're driving for half an hour.
do you give them more or less if they have an electric car?
Good question.
You're like, well,
Yeah. You don't know what kind of car they have until they are almost at your house when it tells you what kind of car they have.
so you should ask. And then if they tell you electric, just take like $1 off the top and take it back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, that cost you less money to drive to my house.
Yeah.
Electric vehicles would actually make for very good delivery vehicles. I think Amazon runs electric vans now.
Yeah, short periods.
Yeah, because you're like, it makes, I think the guys that run electric, there's a lot of Tesla Ubers here, but I don't think they make as much sense because the Uber guys, almost all the guys driving humans for Uber are full timers. Like there's virtually nobody that's doing what the whole concept was originally, which is, hey, why don't you make a couple of bucks picking somebody up on your way to work in the morning and on your drive home at night?
Right. You got an extra 20 minutes in your day
Yeah.
if you could get a
Almost
ride in.
everybody that drives for Uber is driving 12-hour days every single day, and there's some kind of immigrant. I mean, it's literally the same dudes that used to work for taxi companies are now driving Uber. And that's the majority of Uber drivers. Rarely do you get somebody in Austin that doesn't fit that particular mold. So it's it's one of those things where you put a lot of miles on. I think the guys that drive every day, they're putting on, at least a full gas tank's worth in a normal car. So probably 300 miles plus per day. And the problem with the Tesla, with the electric cars, is that that's the theoretical limit. The practical limit is going to be like 250 miles a day. So you're going to have to, middle of your day, stop at a fast charger and, sit there for an hour.
Right. And wait.
Which makes no sense.
wait.
I guess you could eat your meal there if you have a meal that you eat during the day.
Well, you could have a different Uber guy bring you your meal at the charger.
Yeah, you could do that. You could totally do that. Have a different Uber dude deliver that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, and Uber, the other benefit of Uber is they actually will deliver from Costco.
Yeah, well, that's here. It's not Uber. It's the other one that they actually have, the one they use for Aldi. I forget the name. There's so many different of these stupid little delivery companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
I just like Uber because it's the same. Like everything's already set up for both food and people transport, so I don't have to do it separately.
I've never used a DoorDash, never used an Uber, never used any of that stuff.
I don't understand why, but okay.
Because I would rather just go get my own damn food, make my own damn food here.
I just don't think you ought to be driving. That's all.
Well, this is also true, but until I hit something, I'm fine. I just got the thing in the mail.
Till you hit something, Jesus Christ, dude.
It's a fatalistic attitude.
You're literally like my dad.
Yes.
It's like,
Hello,
just
Gene.
because I'm 85 doesn't mean I shouldn't be driving around. I'm like, yes, it does. It means you shouldn't be driving around, man. Your vision sucks.
That would be, more interesting. We could drive by Braille. But
have a stick out the window so you can touch the street as you're driving.
My wife was opening up the mail the other day, and then she just like starts laughing. I'm like, what? She's like, you can renew your license again online. You don't even have to go in. I'm like, yes.
Oh my God.
It's another 4 years of terror on the roads.
That is crazy. Now, there's no way you would pass if you actually had to do a vision thing.
I probably could. I don't think it is.
Because they let you wear glasses, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
you only need one eye to drive.
Yeah, you don't need both eyes. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but with the way the vision is in the good eye, with the floaters, I have a lot more problems like trying to read something off a computer screen, or God forbid, I have learned to hate movies and television shows that fucking use text messages as part of their plot, and they don't have the voice reading it. They just put the fucking message on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I can have problems reading that because it'll take a minute for the floaters to move out of the way. But way more problems with close things like that in reading. And I find that when I'm in the car, it feels a lot more normal. I notice a lot less that I'm down to one eye and the other, the eye that's there isn't 100%. It's actually better vision being outside. Now, at night, I wouldn't want to be driving.
No. Shit, dude, I don't like driving at night these days.
That's what my wife said, too. I think once you get to like 50 years old, it's like,
Yeah, because even if your focus works, your photoreceptors are just not as good for nighttime. But luckily, I don't have to worry about that because I have night vision, and now I just got thermal vision.
So you're driving with your lights off in your car. You're like, fuck that shit. I don't need the lights.
Honestly, the thermal vision kicks ass, dude. I really like thermal. I'm so happy. I mean, I it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but it is so cool to be able to just see heat.
Well, and this is what is eventually going to be built into all of these vehicles as part of their auto drive.
I thought you were going to say built into our fake eyeballs.
Well, those two. And I'm looking forward. I mean, I wish they could hurry the fake eyeballs up because I'd be the first one to be like, give me one. I'll try one out.
I always thought when I was a kid watching Star Trek that Geordie LaForge was not handicapped. He had a fucking benefit.
Right. I mean, you could actually see things that other people couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how is that a negative that, he's got to wear sunglasses on his eyes all the time? Yeah, but he can see infrared and ultraviolet.
Yes. I mean, if they
just would have like a mantis shrimp.
If they would have showed what his vision looked like, and it would have been like the early video games that were just basic line drawings, which is what some of these early retinal implants look like.
Right.
It's very basic, where you can see a shape more than anything else. Well, then that would suck. But yes, I believe what they were going for, that, he could see different spectrums and different things to where he's seeing everything in a different way, but he's getting a much wider range of information coming in.
Although they really didn't play up that whole aspect. Like, I don't remember any episode. Maybe there was one I don't remember, but I don't remember episodes where they actually, like, he has to save the day because he can see ultraviolet kind of stuff.
Right, where he's like, hey, nice panties. Wait, you can see through my clothes?
They kind of, I mean, technically, that is funny.
Yeah.
That you bring it up. But yeah, he could probably see through clothes pretty well.
Uh-huh. He's like, he knows if that sweater's hiding a little extra.
Uh-huh.
He knows. He would not get tranny tricked. Geordie LaForge would not get tranny tricked.
No. Yeah, he basically gets the same view as the machines at the airports.
That said, I thought Geordie's handicap was that he was black. Well, it was a utopia by that point.
Yeah, no. Star Trek was always very socialist. There was not it was all friendly and kumbaya. And remember, the first interracial kiss on American television was Star Trek.
Yeah, and they recreated that. We talked about that on the Kevin Smith comic book shop show.
Oh, yeah.
When Nicole came in and was like, I want a, whatever the brand name that made the little figures at the time. And she wanted the one
Nicole, you mean Nichelle.
Nichelle, yes.
What's her name? Yeah.
Nichelle.
Nichols,
yes. And she was already about 80 when she came in.
Yeah.
Still looked good.
She had one of those, I don't know if she did plastic surgery or not, but she definitely had one of those looks that looks great with white hair.
Yeah.
Like because I hate it when you have these women that are in their like late 60s or 70s that color their hair and pretend like they're
the
same age that they were when they were 30.
Right.
It's like, come on, you got to just age naturally. It's good to transition through those phases of life. because you start either looking like a horrible looking 30-year-old
Right.
or a pretty damn good looking 60-year-old. Which would you rather have? And unfortunately, most women go for the horrible 30-year-old.
And if they are only 30 years old, then you're like, oh, I don't want to see you at 60.
I've always been a fan of platinum hair. It's a bit of a weakness. I've dated a few chicks with, well, I've had blue hairs, I've had platinum hairs, but
you mean the blonde, the platinum blonde that is so not real, that is so artificial that it just screams out skank?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't scream out skank, but it screams out platinum.
Okay.
But it's like Debbie Harry. I didn't think she was a skank. I thought she was a pretty good singer.
But have you not read about her personal life? Come on.
Actually, no, I haven't, because that's not really interesting to me. Like,
you just want to be call me.
Musician lives don't really matter much to me.
I agree. That's why people are always like so very like how do you not know what's going on with Taylor Swift? I'm like, because I only listen to music and I don't pay attention to anybody's personal life. I don't care if it's Ted Nugent. I don't care if it, well, okay.
Yeah, but you're kind of lying about Taylor Swift. Obviously, you pay attention to everything. We know that.
The music, not the personal life. The only artist.
You don't know who she's dating.
I did not until the Super Bowl thing. And then he was if he was on TV before that, I couldn't tell you anybody that she was dating. Yeah. But I will.
Not buying it.
I will admit I own multiple books about Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and the Rat Pack. Well,
they were characters. They were interesting characters.
Yes. I read Warren Zevon's biography. I believe that his wife wrote.
Who's he?
You don't know Warren Zevon? The guy that wrote Lawyers, Guns, and Money, Werewolves of London, a spectacular singer. How do you not know Warren Zevon? Damn.
I know.
One of the greatest.
What's he done?
Well, he's dead now. He had cancer.
What did he do?
Werewolves of London would be the song everybody knows.
Don't know that song.
You don't know. How do you not? You can't go through life without knowing Werewolves of London.
Sure, I can.
No. Yeah.
What year did it come out?
Dun, 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 dun.
But you probably have it. Just play it.
I have it somewhere. It came out in the 80s. Okay. It was part of the Color of Money soundtrack. I remember that back in like 1986 or so.
Well, I might have heard it, but I sure as hell can't remember it.
Everybody in the troll room
have known who played it.
Is calling you a troll that you have to know that song.
Why?
Because it's so very well known. Everybody knows Werewolves of London.
I totally don't know that song. Okay, well,
I mean, what you should do is you should go out and listen to some Warren Zevon, because he is one of the greatest artists. And I mean, you'd like him because he had this wit. He was from Chicago.
Yeah.
He had a great wit. And how do you not know Warren Zevon? That's just, how do you, because you're the same age, everybody has to know Warren Zevon.
Okay, I'm going to play the video here real quick.
And you'll see if you remember this, if it'll jog your memory or anything.
And if anybody's listening on X, you'll actually hear the audio from the video.
Tom Tomsky says, I didn't know Idiocracy. Well played, Tom Tomsky. You're correct.
What do you say?
I didn't know Idiocracy.
Yeah, you're the idiot, man, not me.
And Gene's programming is faulty, says Cotton Gin. The Digiguru is like, how do you not know the lyrics? I went home with a waitress the way I always do. I mean, that is.
Okay, I just watched the video. Not my style of music. Not interested.
But that was okay, actually, that was probably why he's blocking it out, Digi. Because in the song
Yeah, I don't do that sort of late 70s, like, we don't take baths kind of music.
That's okay. But the lyrics, I mean, this is why it's hitting.
It's the guys with long hair and they have sweat on their faces and stuff in the videos. Like, no, I don't do that shit.
I went home with the waitress the way I always do. How was I to know she was with the Russians too? I mean, come on. This is lyrics that are hitting a little too close to home for you. That must be what it is.
Nope. Never heard of it.
Must be. You know Steve Goodman, the greatest folk song writer?
Nope.
He was absolutely fantastic. Who is on your list of top albums? What are your recommendations?
Well, it's not going to be shit from the 70s at all.
Going to be shit from the 50s, the 90s?
It's going to be shit from, well, it will be
80s.
shit from the 60s and 80s. It's the 70s while I was certainly alive in the 70s, musically speaking, was a pretty dead decade.
Jeans in the 80s, it's all Debbie Gibson, all Tiffany, all the time. You're like, those girls
you didn't
I
really
know, right?
pick the best musicians of the 80s, but okay.
She's like, no, I know
they
them.
were indeed in the 80s, yes.
You're like, Warren Zevon, don't know. Tiffany and Debbie Gibson, all, I know them.
Everybody knows them. They were literally like the Taylor Swifts of their day.
True. They did not quite make it as
current
far.
Taylor Swift, like early Taylor Swift.
Yeah, true. We're playing at the mall, baby.
That's right. The mall tour.
The Captain and Tennille, Net is guessing, might be in your list. Love will.
I mean, I at least
together.
know who those are, but not my style of music.
No? Think of me, babe, whenever. When some sweet talking girl comes around singing a song.
I just, even like Sonny and Cher.
I got you, babe.
Like, I've heard of, obviously, most of their music, and I enjoyed their comedy show because it was funny. But I don't like that style. It's just not something that I like at all.
So are you in like 80s?
I don't like Neil Diamond. I don't like any of that shit from the 70s, man.
Well, Neil made it into the 80s too. But so were you in like hair bands? Are you into like Ted Nugent? Were you more like Poppy, Genesis, Springsteen, Tom Petty, Dire Straits?
I did like Genesis. Yeah, Genesis. I always liked electronic music, dude.
Oh, like you and CSB, that's why you get along. Because you're like, you got to have that beat. Got to get that 190 beats per minute or whatever his minimum is.
You got to attune your heart to go at the exact pace of the music, man. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That way you can code the very best.
Coding music. Coding music was always techno. There's no two ways about it. Coding music and hacker music was always techno. Like when I got into the zone, get in the groove, crank up the speakers, get the 3 monitors pulsing in sync.
You got to have them pulsing in sync.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're going to go to the dark web, baby.
Yeah. You too. Exactly. I mean, you two had that brief kind of dance music period, Cotton Gin. But I don't know who else is on. So is it just techno? I mean, or do you? So I mean, besides Genesis,
most pop music in the 80s I liked.
You like listening to John Hammer?
Here's Jan Hammer.
Jan Hammer. John Hammer.
Jan. Yeah, I like that. It's a if it's got a distorted guitar, I probably didn't like it.
Oh, you were more of a purist.
Yeah, I just like music, man.
So like Eddie Van Halen and the Eddie Van Halen band, you were like, hot for teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the songs. Wouldn't be something I would tune into, or I didn't own that music. That's for sure.
You don't have it on vinyl. You're not ready to spin it.
I did not have it on vinyl. Eddie Van Halen, no.
Not Eddie Van Halen.
And look, I can appreciate that he was a talented musician in what he did. Doesn't necessarily mean I like the music.
So it's Genesis. It was a techno. Like, what do you listen to now when you go out jogging?
You podcasts.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That wasn't a setup at all.
If I'm listening, honestly, between audiobooks and podcasts, it's rare that I'm listening to any music at all. I listen to music usually in the car because I have my entire music library on an SD card. So everything I've ever bought fits on one SD card.
That's sad.
Which is very sad because I probably spent about $40,000 on CDs.
Now you're driving around listening to play that funky music, White Boys, it blares out the speakers.
That was actually pretty good. I like that.
See, figured.
Mm-hmm.
There was some good music out of the old days.
Yeah, I had Beastie Boys CDs.
Oh, the License to Ill. I remember when that album came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the few that really was, wow, had never heard anything like that before.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you
know where I first heard Beastie Boys?
In a strip club?
You'll never get, nope, NPR.
Really? Were they doing an interview, or were they telling you how bad
with
they
the
were?
Beastie Boys. They interviewed the Beastie Boys and played, and I'm like, this is great.
The Cotton Gins, like Beastie Boys are the old days. Yes. I mean, half of them are dead now, aren't they?
I think literally half of them are dead. Yeah.
I mean, how do you not get, was it the second half of that album that kicked? I mean, it was literally kick it. You know, Ned's talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that was, and just beautiful music. People were getting along at that time. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
The world was a little different.
It was very different. It was good.
I mean, I remember
versus right now.
Well, yeah. And I was there for Springsteen's heyday, and I know a lot of people hate the boss, but he had some good tunes. I mean, they got worse as he got older, and not just performance-wise, but this happens with so many artists.
Yeah, he had a few of them. You know, I listened to the Pogues.
Well, the Pogues are probably my all-time favorite band.
Yeah.
Irish punk.
I listened to the Chieftains.
Very classic Irish folk, more than Irish punk.
So there's music I listened to that didn't involve, you know, a drum beat and synth. But as far as popular music goes, I'd say I definitely lean more towards the electronica and pop, and then eventually techno or drums and bass, versus the distorted guitar stuff. Never been a heavy metal guy. I never watched Headbangers Ball.
Whoa, really?
Nope. Just no interest in that music, man.
I like the Irish music. I mean, I got started with the Pogues.
Yeah.
But then even and I know it's the least cool stuff out there, but the Celtic Woman is I always want to say women.
I remember that. Yep.
And they're still around. Now,
yeah, in that style of music, Lorena McKenna.
Oh yeah,
I remember her.
Oh yeah,
I saw her live twice.
The Celtic women, you know, and just
at Fine Line Cafe.
Not just the ones in the group. The Irish women that can sing that type of music. Oh, yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's not rock, you know, but it is a whole different thing. And it's like you have to appreciate that kind of ability when they can sing without music and stay on key. I mean, that's rare in
you mean a cappella?
Yeah. But like you don't need any music, and they can just bring the melody with their vocals. And so I've always listened to a wide
Enya. You remember Enya?
Yes. Always thought she was a little bit boring when she came out, but then I got more into the Celtic stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's not really bad. You have to be in the right kind of mood, though.
Yeah.
You have to be in the right kind of mood.
And then, of course, I liked all the Swedish and Dutch bands.
So you like Swedish bands, Dutch bands, Irish bands, but you were a Russian boy. You weren't out there like singing.
Well, I did grow up in the Baltic, so, you know.
You didn't start coming out with Russian heavy metal or anything?
Not that far. Lived not that far from all of those. You know, Europe is smaller than you think.
Yeah. It's not America, baby.
No. It's America is huge. It's absolutely huge.
No Agenda Millennial says, my brother likes Enya. And then I wasn't surprised when he told us he was gay. So yeah, I can kind of see that. Just, I mean, hey.
I think it's a certain type of gay that would like Enya, but not every type of gay.
ABBA. Yeah, ABBA was a great band.
Cotton ABBA, you know that's why I'm talking about like Swedish bands.
Yeah.
Like I liked ABBA. I liked, what was the other one? There's basically every decade has their own big Swedish band that all sound very similar. And I like all of them.
Gene's a big Swedish guy.
Ace of Base, I like.
I saw the sign. Yeah, they do have that very similar. And you just like the hot Swedish women, too, let's be honest.
Yeah, I always like the hot Swedish women, man. I still do.
There's
fewer and fewer of them. They're losing their blonde hair, blue-eyed genetics up there.
Shirley Mofo wants to know if we can get a video of you doing the Russian kick dance while wearing an Adidas tracksuit.
I do not have one of those.
An Adidas tracksuit?
I have an Adidas. I have many Adidas tracksuits, but no, the last time that I did the Russian kick dance, I was in my 20s. I have not done one since, and there's no way in hell I could do it right now.
You were at a wedding or something?
It's a very physically challenging, demanding activity because you're basically bouncing on one leg, and it's not easy to do when you're overweight.
And you'd be in traction, and then it wouldn't be good.
I would like go down and then not get back up. Mm-hmm.
Like, what happened to Gene? Yeah, you tried to dance.
Yeah, exactly.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I was watching a video on X that has a groom who is completely drunk at his own wedding, like barely able to stand, not able to really say anything or do anything.
It's the best way to be right after you get married.
And then I noticed the best man is wearing a tracksuit top. I was like, oh, this has got to be Russian. So I turned on the audio, and sure enough, the audio isn't Russian. I'm like,
That's the surefire giveaway. Some dude in an Adidas tracksuit,
At a wedding. If you have a tracksuit at a wedding, there's like maybe 5 countries that could take place in. And Russia is probably the biggest one.
But was it the very formal tracksuit at least?
It was the same one I've got. It was black and red.
Very formal. Well, that sounds very formal. Can you put a bow tie on with that? That's really all you need to do to spice it right up.
And the best man was basically holding the groom so he wouldn't fall over.
Well, see, that's a good best man.
That is a good best man. The amazing part is the wife was just going through the wedding motions. I think most American women would basically just do a divorce immediately after marriage just to get half the guy's money as a way to fuck him for being drunk at his wedding and ruining her wedding, which is the important part because it's her wedding. So, it looks like my food's being delivered by a Buick Encore.
Those are still around? What the hell's a Buick Encore?
Is that a minivan or? I don't know what an Encore is.
I thought they stopped making Buicks overall, and I've never heard of an Encore.
I don't know. Maybe it's some new fancy electric car. I don't know.
Maybe are Buicks back in electric? I don't know.
They probably should have just done that. Instead of creating electric Chevys, they should have just said, okay, let's take one of our dead brands and make them electric only.
Yeah, they are still being made. It's a subcompact SUV.
It's an SUV, really?
Yeah, okay. From $25,600.
Oh my God! So that's the price of a uber cheap car right now is $25,000.
I remember the good old days when they were like 10,000
or less. Dude, I remember the good old days when a luxury car was $10,000.
Well, you are old.
I am old. I remember a 1983 Toyota Cressida was just over 10,000.
I remember when you could buy decent used cars for like $2,000.
Oh, I think this was my third car. My third car was a used Plymouth Horizon that had, I think it had about 40,000 miles on it, maybe 45,000. And I bought it for $2,000.
You're like, good deal.
It was basically like a 4-year-old car for $2,000.
Back then, people were like, I just don't want it anymore.
And I drove that thing for like the next 5 years.
Yeah, get the money out.
5 years for a $2,000 car.
You're like, I'm never fixing the thing. It's going to blow up because it's not worth fixing.
Well, it did blow up. I actually drove through a really deep puddle and blew a head gasket on it.
That'll happen.
And then I had a buddy of mine help me get it fixed. But it was, I had bad luck with that. Well, I actually had bad luck with so that was the last used car that I got. And then I got a brand new, it was a 90. So the Horizon, I think, was like an 80 something. Can't remember what. And then I got a new Saturn coupe. And that was an awesome car. I have nothing but good memories of that thing. It had every option you could order. Had a sunroof, leather seats. It was a white car with gold trim. So I had all the chrome bits, 24 karat gold plated. And it was a fun car. It was not particularly powerful. None of the Saturns were, right? The engines were pretty anemic. But the fun aspect of having a fun little zippy car like that, because it was very light. I don't know. You ever been in a Saturn?
No.
Okay. Well, I think, if I remember correctly, I believe it only weighed like 2,000 pounds.
Which is now what a battery weighs in an electric car.
Batteries are more than that, yeah.
No, I just covered this the other day on Random Thoughts.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
The one latest Tesla and the latest Ford pickup truck were both in the 1,800 range, but still.
For the battery?
Just for the battery, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is insane.
It's a lot of battery to drive around. I mean, a full tank of gas is not 2,000 pounds, I'll tell you that.
No, well, that's what I said, because this is the biggest problem now. And I had covered this on Random Thoughts as well. Maybe here we may have talked about it. The fact that they're now saying, well, the pollution coming off of the tires and brakes, what that is doing is now greater than what is coming out of the tailpipes on the gas-powered cars. And and guess what? The electric vehicles weigh so much more that the brakes and tires wear so much quicker that the end game right now is that the electric cars are actually doing more damage to the environment than gas-powered cars.
Yeah, but who cares?
Nobody. Obviously, it's all a scam to get you to buy a fucking gas-powered car for some reason.
I don't know about that, but I think electric cars, they were never about the environment. This is, I think, something the media created, is this whole idea of like, oh, yeah, if you want to be green, drive an electric car. Because the reality is
emissions, right?
Everybody, well, no, wrong. Because the emissions just happen at a power plant burning coal.
Right.
Instead of your house or, your car burning gasoline.
Right. Well, that's the fallacy, because they're somewhere, but the car itself, they're like, well, no, that's zero emissions at the car. But you're right.
It's definitely not zero emissions.
To get the energy for the car, you're getting a lot of emissions. But they don't want to talk about that.
Now, if you have a Tesla roof on your house and you just charge your car by plugging it into your house, you could argue that's zero emissions.
I like that the California study that did this for the state understood that the battery weight and all that were going to cause issues, but they're like, well, we can't assume that this isn't going to equalize, that the battery won't get to the point of what a gas tank is. And I'm like, well, let's see, what is 20 gallons of gas weigh, and how long is it going to take until we can get a battery that's now 1,800 pounds into that size, into that weight? It's like, it's so just disingenuous. And it's all a scam. I was just looking. My first car, I believe, was either a 77 or 78 Olds Delta 88, which I can only imagine.
We talked about this. We had the same first car.
That got like probably 10 miles to the gallon.
If you're lucky.
If you were going
if you're
downhill.
tooling around the city, it's probably more like 7. Yeah. Yeah, I had the station wagon version of that. So it was
the stabbing cabin on wheels, baby.
Delta 88s, but it was the custom cruiser.
Oh, you were so cool.
Called. Yeah, it was red. It was like dark red, blood red.
Okay, here I want to know what was the high mark? How many friends did you fit in that car at one time?
All of them.
Oh, so 2. I don't know how many that is.
Yeah.
Was that?
No, I think because it had the flip seat in the back, so you could fit, like comfortably, you could fit 6 people in the front and the middle, and then another couple in the back, so 8 people. But I certainly did not have 8 friends. No, I think,
was it because of the car that you had?
Yeah, partly. Yeah, I think mostly. I've certainly had 6 people in that car a number of times, but it was clearly a much bigger car with a lot more space for cargo in it than I needed as a kid. But when I got into a car accident with that car, or I should say a car accident happened to me because I was stationary when it happened. I had somebody that slipped down an icy road and hit me in the back of the car, rear-ended. I was very happy that the car was, big and placed a lot of space between me and the guy hitting me in the back of the car.
Yeah, I mean, with one of those station wagons, hell, you could probably have a semi hit you and you're like, I'm okay.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was definitely better to have more space in a heavier car. The car that hit me was a Honda Civic, and that car was just squished into almost nothingness.
Nice.
Yeah. Where I just basically got a little bit of whiplash. And that was it.
You walked away.
Now, the second time, so that car got totaled as a result and replaced by an identical car in brown.
Oh, nice.
And a year newer.
Station
so
wagon.
The first one was a 79. The new one was an 80, I guess. Or no, the first one was a 78 and the second one was 79. That's what it was. And then that car I got rear-ended in when I was stationary. I always seem to get into car accidents without moving.
Just when you were sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
I was waiting for a left turn. The car was full of Domino's pizza dough. I was making a dough pickup run.
Yeah, while you were working for Domino's, a Pizza Hut guy got you.
Yeah, Pizza Hut guy rear-ended me, crashed in the back of my car. Yep, exactly.
Sounds like pizza loving.
It sounds like a script for a 90s movie.
Yes, yeah, it does.
Right? With Ryan Reynolds.
Well, yeah, but, I don't know. He was more big time. You might actually want to go the level right below that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, in the 90s, he wasn't big time.
True.
These days he is, but back when he was first getting into movies, that's the kind of movie he would be in.
Oh yeah, he was in like one of those Van Wilder National Lampoon.
Yeah, he was one of those. Yep.
Uh-huh. I vaguely remember that. I didn't know Idiocracy, but those I saw for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we could just blame your upbringing for that, I guess.
Yeah, because I was watching the Blues Brothers from age 10 and learning all my foul language.
Well, the problem isn't that you watch the Blues Brothers. The problem is you watch the Blues Brothers every year since then.
Over and over. It's been a while. I need to
so
put
you
that
miss
back
movies
in.
like Idiocracy.
Yeah. I've watched War Games multiple times, and I was like, what's Idiocracy? Don't know that.
War Games was good.
And
then after that car got totaled, that's when I got the Plymouth Horizon, which was a tiny little car. So I was like, I better not get into any car accidents.
Well, yeah, because you don't want it. You want enough metal around you if somebody's going to hit you.
Yeah, like have you seen any of the photos of the Tesla truck in car accidents?
No, I don't even want to.
There's no damage on it.
They just
and the other cars
bounces
are totaled.
off. Nice.
Everything just completely squishes, and this car does not deform at all.
I loved my 1996.
They showed the test of it getting hit by one of those side collision things.
Yeah, and it just.
I don't think the door got dented.
Got some G-forces on the inside. That's it, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, people were dead, but as far as the car is concerned,
totally resellable.
Oh my God, it was in perfect shape.
Once you scooped out the dead people from the inside, you were good to resell that vehicle.
But you think about it, like actually having a car crumple is not as much of a requirement these days because of all the airbags. They have like 20 airbags in there.
Like, oh, you'll be fine. We don't need to.
You'll be fine. You're gonna, bounce around a little bit, but you'll be cushioned by air. Now back looking at those 70s cars that we were driving that had 0 airbags, you were lucky to have a seatbelt.
Oh yeah.
Lucky. And not that anyone ever used one back then. That was silly. That was for crazy old people.
Right. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah. I mean, in fact, I remember distinctly people talking about like No, you definitely don't want a seatbelt in case of an accident. You want to be able to fly through that window so you don't get hurt.
You want to easily be able to get out. And if your seatbelt gets caught, then you won't be able to get out.
Yeah, you'll be stuck in a car. And you know, as well as I do, based on every movie ever made, cars will blow up roughly 5 seconds after a car accident.
Yeah, always.
You always. So you have very little time to crawl away from your car and then jump just as it's exploding.
And of course, if you're going to go under the back of a semi truck, you don't want to be wearing your seatbelt because then you will be decapitated.
And that happens all the time as well. Exactly.
It happens to some people. Not me, but it happens to some people.
It definitely. So it's this is one of the things I really liked about the first episode of Mad Men. You did watch Mad Men, right?
Yeah, I saw that series. Yes.
Okay. So the first season opener, first episode ever, there's a scene in there where the wife,
Betty Draper,
Draper, where she's driving the kids in the family station wagon, and the kids are basically just bouncing around in the rear seat, and then she had a car accident. Remember, she's like has a panic attack or whatever, and then drives into somebody's yard. And no one gives a shit. The kids are not strapped into anything. They're just bouncing around the back seat.
They're like, no, not paying any. It don't matter. It's fine.
No. Whatever. It's all good.
It's a big vehicle.
Oh, did you hit your head? Oh, it's all right. What?
It's a big vehicle. It's fine. You're going to be safe.
It's going to be totally fine. And that was, God, that actress looked hot in that series and progressively, immediately thereafter became not hot.
Yes, January Jones.
January, that's right. She had a goofy name too.
She was in that End of the World show, and it was like, that was maybe right after. Let's see, The Last Man on Earth.
She was. She looked like she was a MILF in that show. Like she looked like she'd had some miles put on her.
Yeah,
like still, reasonably attractive, but ridden hard.
You're like, what happened since Mad Men, which was until 2015, and that show started in 2015? It's like good makeup people, I'm supposing.
On Mad Men?
Yeah.
She was hardly in Mad Men for the last 5 seasons.
True. Which is maybe
she was
why.
the ex-wife.
Yeah.
She was the ex-wife. But I think there was a lot of hard drugs and partying going on with January.
Because
she aged
to December.
A lot.
Because otherwise, not really in many things.
That End of the World show, I thought had a good premise.
Yeah, like the first year I thought was great.
Yeah. But it just totally lost its way.
Yes. Which is usually what happens when somebody has a great idea for a show and they've got...
It was a sitcom. It was supposed to be like a one-off sitcom joke thing. Right. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if the last guy that was still alive was this total stereotypical dude?
And it was great for one season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows like that they have the first season planned out. They have a nice story arc. And then it's like, wait, we got renewed? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what happened there. But yeah,
that's certainly what it felt like. Because it did not feel like they had planned this thing out whatsoever past season 1.
Well, this is very
and they got too
similar.
many characters on there eventually.
Did you watch season 3? What is it called? The Newsroom, the one with Reese Witherspoon. Because that was another one.
I mean, I barely watched it, but yeah.
I thought season 1 was fantastic. It was season
great.
2 was okay.
Mediocre.
Yes. I mean, but now I hear season 3 is just probably not even worth watching.
Horrible. Not worth it. Yeah.
And it's again, this is a case of same people. I'm assuming it's the same writers, but it's like, well, again, we had an idea.
I mean, it's just how many times can you repeat the same kind of issue? And in the end, I think what really makes it less interesting for everyone is you can only watch the lives of rich people misbehaving so many times before you start thinking, okay, I get it. They're rich. They can do whatever they want. This is not interesting.
That's why people tune out of this show.
Well, we have no money because we have no donations.
It's the opposite. This is poor people doing the same things every week.
Our entire show is basically talking about, we're a couple of has-beens when it comes down to. Our show is talking about the 80s.
And the 90s.
The music, the movies, the cars, the food, the everything of the 80s.
Friday Food Talk, everybody. Or is it Food Talk Friday? That's way peppier, right. Food Talk Friday.
When's the last time you had some 80s food?
What do you consider 80s food?
Well, what do you consider 80s food?
Normal things like, mac and cheese, burgers. I don't remember anything that was fashionable.
Hot Pockets came out in the 80s.
Do they? I don't know. I haven't had a Hot Pocket in
since the 80s
time. Probably.
Yeah, I know. Same here. I think 80s was when a lot of food companies started discovering that processed foods make them a lot more money.
Well, yeah, it's cheaper to make. They have a shelf life of like 1 billion years.
A year. Yeah.
Yeah. When I look, that's interesting when you look at, and everybody should do this when they shop, is look at the expiration date on what you're buying. And if it's something that's like 5 years from now, you have to ask yourself,
don't eat it.
Why?
Yeah.
Cotton Gin says Food Talk Friday sounds way too much like Fun Fact Friday. I'm like, well, no, see, people like Fun Fact Friday, so we just piggyback on people knowing that show.
I don't know that show.
It's with our buddy Metis and his daughter Leela. They do a great show.
I listened to one episode of that. Yeah. He's got the kid in there.
And Metis, he just got a gig being a voice actor on like one of these big Universal audiobook things, one of these superhero things. So it's like now he's going to be famous. Well, as famous as an audiobook dude can be, but that's still pretty damn cool.
That's something.
He's doing way better than we are. Screw you, Metis.
I mean, I would love to do like a audiobook gig.
Yeah. People pay you to
not
talk.
Not really, but.
Well, it's because it's hard work. Although.
It is. Because the reality is I could do an audiobook gig right now for 2 different books that I've written.
Would you like to do this for yourself? You're like, no, can you just take my voice into the AI?
Yeah, exactly. And I've been very tempted to do exactly that because I don't want to pay somebody else to do it. Not at this point. Back when my first book came out, I was like, I want to have in fact, I got the guy who was good at doing Trump's voice, and I talked to him, and he was going to do the audio for my book.
He was going to read it as Trump,
and this was happening right before Trump announced he was running,
and that ruined that.
And then Trump announced he was running, and this guy got so busy and started making so much more money that the last thing he was going to do was my book. So
I thought it was interesting. There's a dude, Booth Junkie, on YouTube. And he interviewed a guy from a software company that came out with software now specifically for scripted voice actors because it's using an AI. But what the main gist of what it was doing was taking the script and then trying to find where you messed up, which I thought was genius for saving people time to make sure when you're doing a word for word thing, it's way harder than the off the cuff podcast concept where you could say wherever you want.
Really? And I thought we were doing the hardest version of everything.
No. We're doing the easy thing. But I thought it was quite interesting.
What you mean with no script, no notes, and any topic goes?
But it would make it a lot easier to do your proofing if you could just feed it your manuscript and say, well, where did I get this wrong? And then if the tools that can fix that are also out there, I don't know if they were incorporating those in. It seemed like they were not quite up to that point. But I wanted to ask you too, because I knew I need to get back and get another trial for Descript because I did throw in our show. I was like, well, I'll try this in Premiere, which now shows you filler words, but I didn't see any setting on whether you could choose certain filler words because the first thing I noticed that it picked up from you was me saying something and you went, and it picked that up as a filler word. It's like, but it wasn't because that was content that needed to stay. It wasn't an or an It was, an affirmative. This is how people say yes, without using words. And they're like, well, you don't want to cut that out because then
that's true. And Descript has, you have to be in their most expensive level to be able to select your filler words.
Okay, so they give you that. Hey, well, so you can do ahs and ums.
The free level, I think, just has a on or off for filler. The first level has like, I think 5 or 6 filler words that you can remove, and then
that is nefarious.
The top tier has a list of about 25 filler words that you can individually select and you can type in your own filler word and then scan for that and remove it.
See, that is so nefarious because it's like, we'll show you how this works, but then you can't take out the ones you don't want to.
Right.
You don't want to edit, so you pay us more.
It's not a cheap product, dude. In the end, it's $240 a year. And then that's for a limited amount of audio processing. What they limit is the number of hours of transcription. So, which honestly ought to be way cheaper now than it was when I started using it like 3 or 4 years ago.
Right, because there are so many tools.
It's not.
Can you do a transcription elsewhere and then upload that and let it still do the thing? No, see, that's like assholes.
Yeah. So what you have is, and I like every month I have to write to them to get credits back because I'll put something in and then I'll do like the same thing twice. Well, that takes away double the amount of minutes that I have for transcription. So I'm like, okay, well, this was an error. This should not have been counted. And they're always good about it. They always give you the credits back, but I wish either the limit was just way higher, so I just didn't think about it, even if there's errors, or just no limit at all. And I mean, I know all the AI crap always seems to cost money, no matter how you slice it.
Right, because they want to do processing every time.
Yeah, but I also feel like there ought to be a cost reduction over time, not a cost increase.
Right, and things like the OpenAI ChatGPT, it's $20 a month, and they limit you per hour or per 3 hour.
That reminds me, I got to cancel my Pro ChatGPT because I don't use it.
But now here's the thing with the things like Descript. If you're not in a hurry, the ChatGPT thing works much better if you get so many queries, so much CPU time that you're using per every 3 hours. Well, then you could just have it wait for the next 3 hours. And, the fact that they're limiting on a per monthly basis or whatever they're doing, it's like, well, it doesn't really make much sense, except they're trying to get you to the higher level. But when it comes to transcripts, I just re-upped on my Adobe for another year for $240 for the whole year.
You found the student thing again?
Well, I've always, that was easy enough. I was just pissed off because the day I knew I needed to redo it, I just didn't know where I was going to get it because of the way they do the cards. And I found that B&H online will just send you the code via email, where the Amazon, the way they do it now is they just want to get you into like Amazon subscriptions, and it's not, they don't just send you the code. So it's like, fuck, I don't want that. I already have an account. I just need a code. But Amazon didn't do that. And the day I saw that I needed it, it was at $179.99 on sale. But I didn't know if B&H just gave the code. And by the time I figured out if they did, it was back up to $240. I'm like, screw you. But I paid it because it's still better than the $6 whatever they charge,
Yeah.
So now the thing is, I will just wait. So it's like, well, do I need another year? Am I going to die? And if I guess when I die, the money doesn't really matter anyway. But you can add multiple years. So it's not like Adobe's going to go, oh, you added 2-year codes. You can't do that. No, they're going to happily take your money. So I just need to watch, and the next time it goes on sale, add a second year, even though I'm not going to need it now for another year. But you're probably around Black Friday, these kind of things, I'm sure they run
Black
specials.
Friday, that's when I usually get my Adobe. And by the way, this is So I bought the Adobe thing for a discounted price. So it's like I'm basically paying what you're paying now.
Yes, you can find some really good deals
I bought
for
it
like
on
the
Black
first
Friday.
year.
So that was what, November?
Yeah.
So November, December, January, February. We're now in March, 5th month in.
And how much have you used it?
I still haven't installed it.
Oh, but that's okay because as long as it's a code, then it shouldn't start until the minute you put that code in.
No, it's not a code. I'm paying monthly.
Oh, well, that's no good. So you didn't buy like 1 year, which when you buy it at like B&H.
I bought a year, paid a month at a time.
Who did you buy it from?
Adobe.
Oh, directly. It wasn't through a third party?
They had a Black Friday deal.
Now, are you sure it's clicking time? Because usually it would be
it's
when
charging
you start.
me. It's charging
so
me.
they're already charging you. Okay, it's a per
So
month
I'm pretty
thing.
sure it's clicking time.
Those bastards. You want to buy the whole
and this
year
is
at
my
a time.
problem. This is my love-hate with Adobe. I think they make great products. And even though I think they're overpriced at full price, at half price, they're not even a bad value.
Right.
But I've gotten so many workaround products now that I don't need any of the Adobe products. And I don't know. I wish maybe I would just do a monthly deal, like I'll pay this month because I'm going to use it.
Hey, you buy it a year at a time at the cheap one and then you're golden.
Well, dude, that's not a solution because then I would have paid $280 or whatever and then never installed it.
Yeah, I guess there's that.
My point is, see, you're still in the frame of mind where you're always using it. You don't have any other alternatives. So you're just looking for the cheapest price.
Yes, because I
got to a point where I stopped using it. I used to pay for it every year forever. I literally started, the first product I ever bought from them was before it was named Photoshop. It was called, I talked about this on the other episode. It had a different name. That was what I actually bought originally. And it was in, I want to say either 86 or 87, maybe, because it was at the SIGGRAPH show. I went to SIGGRAPH. I think it was SIGGRAPH 87, which was a computer graphics show. And they demoed it there. And I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. And it was black and white at the time, by the way.
Yeah. So racist.
Because there were no color Macs out yet.
The good old days.
Those didn't come out until the following year.
You do have to use it to make it worthwhile. That much is obvious for.
Yeah. And that's my problem is by getting other products that I use, like between Audacity and Descript, that's like my audio shit. And then for video, because I didn't have Adobe at the time, I bought DaVinci, which is actually a better product, I think. And DaVinci was a one-time buy. It's not a monthly thing. So I just bought it. It was $200.
Right. Where Adobe gets you is, since I was in the Photoshop ecosystem, it's like, here now they have audio programs. Okay, I'll try that. Yeah. Oh, they have video. I'll try that.
It's the same bullshit as Amazon. Amazon started off by having Prime be just for shipping. And I think the first Prime was $50, thereabouts, 50 or 60. And then every year the price goes up. But every year they added more services. So it's kind of like, oh, well, now you get access to free music from Amazon. So that's built into Prime. Well, now you get Prime Video. That's built in. You get to watch all these videos. You don't need to pay for Hulu because you got Prime. And now they've gotten to a point where Prime is $150 a year-ish, thereabouts. And this is what really pisses me off, they changed in the middle of the year that I prepaid for. In the middle of the year, they changed how they deal with video.
Here's some
to
ads.
Where video now has commercials.
Yeah.
It's like, what bullshit is, did you want commercial free? That's an extra $20 a month.
DigiGuru has an article, How Photoshop Was First Barney Scan XP. That's a hell of a name for a software program. Photoshop's a little better than Barney Scan XP, but I mean, I just think of the purple dinosaur now.
Barney and purple go together like watermelons and chicken.
Wow. You must have food on the mind.
Well, my food just got delivered, so yes.
Now it's almost
I'm waiting
lunchtime.
for the next 4 minutes before I can eat.
You're sitting there like, I'm waiting.
I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Hurry up.
I know
Let's get
it's
the
there.
show over with.
I know it's there.
Time's moving.
Yeah. You got to use the good audio stuff. You got to.
What are you going to do other than feeding your wife after the show?
I got to call my buddy back, but that was calling here at the beginning of this show.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, I'm pretty much open until we're going out to see my parents then after work. So I'm pretty much from that in that 1 to 5 area. I'm pretty clear. Why do you want to test out more of your audio gear? And
I mean, we could, but not today. South by Southwest starts today.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, this clean feed. I mean, it's
so
free.
I gotta go to a party.
Oh yeah, that sounds horrible. You have to go to a party.
I know.
Were you invited?
Going to a party?
Did you?
Yeah.
Now you finally have friends. We heard back in the 80s you had no friends in a big vehicle. Now you have a small vehicle and lots of friends.
Yeah.
Which is a better system.
I'm sure it'll be fun, but I hate South by. Now that I live in Austin, I used to love South by.
But wasn't it cool at first? And like the music and all of a sudden it's turned to crap. It was
awesome. It was like a mega festival. So you had music, movies, and technology. And like it had a lot of cool shit. It had video game stuff. It had cool gadgets and robotics and stuff. It had tons of movie premieres from unknown future famous movie people, and it had, of course, tons and tons of music everywhere.
So it was a real event.
I always used to. What?
It was a real event, which kind of now turned into a pretend event.
No, it's a real event. It's bigger than ever. I mean, COVID kind of fucked with them a little bit, but they were growing every year and getting bigger and bigger, and more places were getting taken over. But the part that's grown the most is actually not either the music or the movies. It's the tech, which includes a lot of startup stuff. You know, Twitter got launched at South by.
Yeah, I remember
and that's back one of my old account when I first signed up for it.
Did you invest literally like $500,000 into it?
No. And it was literally people, but a lot of people did.
Yeah.
It was literally people just saying, oh, and now I'm walking over to this area. You know, like the tweets were so damn innocent back in the day. There was zero politics on Twitter when it started.
I saw
it was just like people saying what they're doing.
I saw a meme, and was it in South by Southwest? It was something about 2009 Lily Allen, the singer, turning down $200 million in Bitcoin to do a performance.
Ugh.
And they're like, well, it shows you singers aren't smart. And I'm like, but here's the thing.
That'd be 200 trillion today.
Well, today that was it. It was like 14 point something billion.
Yeah.
But you know, if somebody took 200,000 in Bitcoin back then, they would have just cashed it.
Yeah.
Immediately. Exactly. So the concept like somebody was going to keep that and hold on to it.
No one was going to hold on to that. Yeah, exactly.
No. But if you did.
Speaking of Bitcoin at 68.
Yeah.
Still going up.
Yeah. This is, and my sheep coin, $206.
No one cares about that shit.
I know. I just thought I was going to lose $50 and say, I have like 5 million sheep, but now I've like quadrupled my money. Is that winning? Should I just cash it out?
Well, you're not quadruple until you sell.
Right. That's it. Yeah. And with my Bitcoin, should I sell the Bitcoin? Is now the time to sell the Bitcoin?
I don't know, dude. I thought it was going to go back down to like 30 around Christmas. So I'm totally off on this shit.
Should I turn it into
I've also never sold Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I asked you, I needed to move. I did not. No, I need to do. But now that I haven't bought them, like 3 weeks has gone by and
more money,
and the Bitcoin's worth more.
More money. So, I know. Yeah. Like you want to hit it at the top because I can turn that in. Hell, my Bitcoin right now, I can almost turn it. Well, no, I still don't have enough for a Mac Pro, which is sad.
No,
but I can buy a Mac Studio
with Bitcoin.
With the
That's
Bitcoin.
Pretty good. Yeah. Well, I still think that there's no point in buying the Studio. Honestly, you would be perfectly well suited with the Mini. Get the Mini with the maximum amount of memory that you can get in it versus a Studio with less than that of memory.
The only thing I don't like, the Mini Pro with the M2 Pro will do the monitors. It'll do everything I need, except it's only got 8 in the gig RAM, and it's only got a 1.
You get more RAM.
Well, then you're paying more, and this is where it's going to change the difference. I also would like the 10 gig Ethernet because I do pull down over a gig from the cable company, which isn't huge. I mean, I can live without that, but I've got it on my system now. So it would be very close. Having a maxed out mini with what I would want as opposed to just going to the studio that has that by default. It's close.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it probably is. So a top of the line 10 core mini is $1,300, and let's see how much it's going to be to up your RAM. So that's with the Pro, blah blah blah. So that's with 16 gigs of RAM.
I love what
if you want to go to 32, it's $400.
And the 16 would be fine, I think. But I mean, 32 would be nice.
For what you do, 16 would be, but let's max it out to 32 just for sake of question here.
And Ned, thank you for the 2323 boost. He says, when I was a kid, my aunt had a diesel Olds Delta 98 that sounded like a mean son of a bitch when it pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's our number one. He's our only executive producer today. So thank you, Ned.
That's from the Car Talk segment of the show.
We love Car Talk.
Food Talk Fridays, Car Talk.
Yeah, exactly. Max
and
that
the 10 gig
out.
is only $100 more.
See?
So you could literally, it's $1,800 basically for the top of the line mini. Let's see how much it is for the other one.
The studio starts at $19.99.
Okay. So the most expensive Mac mini is just under the price of the studio.
With the M2 Pro, where the mini starts with the M2 Max, I think, and then Ultra comes after that.
So that's the studio's the cheap version of the studio starts at $2,000, man.
Right, $19.99.
Oh yeah. And that's the 12 cores. So it's slightly more cores you would get. It'd be the max CPU. And that's with 32 gigs of RAM. So same RAM as what I configured for the other one. Same hard disk. And I don't see an option for Ethernet, so it probably comes with 10 gig, I assume.
It may.
So yeah, it's your money, dude. I would get a Mac Mini topped out versus a studio bare bones.